Voices. Children, in the last episode, you have read that whenever you want to tell something to others, you speak complete sentences. Usually, you start your sentence with the subject, but sometimes you give more stress on the verb instead of the subject. Of course, in some incidents, you focus at the object. Therefore, we form this sentence according to its need. ਬੱਚਿਓ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਐਪੀਸੋਡ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੜ੍ਹਿਆ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਕਦੀ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਕੁਝ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੂਰਾ ਵਾਕ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਹੋ। ਆਮ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਅਫਰਮੇਟਿਵ ਸੈਂਟੈਂਸ ਜਾਂ ਸਟੇਟਮੈਂਟ ਸੈਂਟੈਂਸ ਸਬਜੈਕਟ ਭਾਵ ਕਰਤਾ ਨਾਲ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਸਬਜੈਕਟ ਭਾਵ ਕਰਤਾ ਨਾਲੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਵਰਬ ਤੇ ਜ਼ੋਰ ਦੇਣ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕਦੀ-ਕਦੀ ਸਬਜੈਕਟ ਭਾਵ ਕਰਤਾ ਨਾਲੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਆਬਜੈਕਟ ਭਾਵ ਕਰਮ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਫੋਕਸ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਪੈਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਲਈ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੋੜ ਅਨੁਸਾਰ ਵਾਕ ਨੂੰ ਕਰਤਾ ਮੁਖੀ ਜਾਂ ਕਰਮ ਮੁਖੀ ਬਣਾ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ। Before changing the voice of a sentence, we have to find out the direct object. If a sentence does not have an object, it cannot be changed into passive voice because the object in the active voice acts as the subject in the passive voice. Now, look at this sentence. Colorful parrots live in the forest. It cannot be changed into passive voice because the sentence does not have a direct object.
See this sentence. Marilyn mailed the letter. You have noticed in this sentence that the letter is object in the active voice, but in the passive voice, the letter becomes the subject of the sentence. Now look for the second point. Place the active sentence's subject into a phrase beginning with the preposition by. Marilyn mailed the letter. The letter by Marilyn. Marilyn is the subject in the active voice. In passive voice, it becomes the object and is written with by before it. The letter by Marilyn. Now we come to the third point. Add a form of the auxiliary verb be to the main verb and change the form of the main verb into third form. Marilyn mailed the letter. The letter was mailed by Marilyn. Verb plus be auxiliary.
The addition of a form of the auxiliary verb depends upon the tense of the active voice. In the last episode, you have read about the rules for present tense only. Now, look for the rules to change voice for the past tense. Rules for present indefinite tense. For affirmative sentence. Look at this sentence.
Active voice. He wrote a letter. Subject plus second form of the verb plus object. Before changing the voice, always ask following two questions. What is the action in this sentence? Wrote. इस वाक विच किरिया की है? Wrote भाव लिखना. Who did the action of writing? लिखण दा कारज किसने कीता? He ने. Therefore, he is the agent. But we shall use the object form of he, that is, him, in the passive form. Look at the passive voice of the sentence. ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ he agent ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਅਸੀਂ he ਦੀ ਵਰਤੋਂ object form ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਜੋ ਕਿ passive form ਵਿੱਚ him ਹੈ. Passive voice. A letter was written by him. Object plus was plus third form of the verb plus by plus subject, object form of the agent. Now let us take another example. Active voice. I planted 4 trees of neem. Subject plus second form of the verb plus object. What is the object? 4 trees of neem. What is the action in this sentence? Planted. इस वाक्य ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਰਿਆ ਕੀ ਹੈ? Planted ਭਾਵ ਪੌਦੇ ਲਗਾਉਣਾ. Who did the action of planting? Planting ਦਾ ਕਾਰਜ ਕਿਸਨੇ ਕੀਤਾ? I ਭਾਵ ਮੈਂ. Now you can easily write the passive voice of the given sentence. ਹੁਣ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਗਏ ਵਾਕ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਬੜੀ ਆਸਾਨੀ ਨਾਲ passive voice ਲਿਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ. Passive voice. 4 trees of neem were planted by me. Object plus were plus third form of the verb plus by agent.
Now take the example of negative and interrogative sentences in past indefinite tense. Negative sentences. Active voice. He did not write a letter. He is the subject, agent, write is the action, letter is the object. Remember that did not is changed into was not or were not. याद रखो did not, was not या were not which बदल गया है. Passive voice. A letter was not written by him. Letter is the object, written is the third form of the verb, him is the agent. Interrogative sentences. Active voice. Did he write a letter? He is the agent, write is the first form of the verb, letter is the object. Passive voice. Was a letter written by him? Letter is the object, written is the third form of the verb, him is the agent. Children, I hope now you understand. You can also change passive voice into active voice. ਵਿਦਿਆਰਥੀਓ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਉਮੀਦ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਹੁਣ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਮਝ ਆ ਗਈ ਹੈ. ਤੁਸੀਂ passive voice ਨੂੰ active voice ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਬਦਲ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ. Let me test you. Here is an exercise for you. She did not care for me. Active. I was not cared for by her. Passive. The beggar was laughed at by them. Passive. They laughed at the beggar. Active. Did you receive my letter in time? Active. Was my letter received by you in time? Passive. Who presided over the function? Active. The answer is by whom was the function presided over? Passive. The driver immediately applied the brakes. Active. The answer is the brakes were immediately applied by the driver. Passive. Children, till now you have read about one object. Now look at this sentence carefully. She sent me a book of stories. She is the subject, sent is the second form of the verb, Me is the indirect object. Book of stories is the direct object. In the given sentence, you can see two objects instead of one. Two objects may be present in any type of sentences. Always remember that when the verb in the active voice takes two objects, there are two ways to form the passive voice. ਇਹਨਾਂ ਵਾਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਇੱਥੇ ਇੱਕ ਦੀ ਥਾਂ ਤੇ ਦੋ ਆਬਜੈਕਟਸ ਹਨ। ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੇ ਵਾਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੋ ਆਬਜੈਕਟਸ ਭਾਵ ਦੋ ਕਰਮ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਨ। She sent me a book of stories. Active. She is the subject. Sent is the second form of the verb. Me, indirect object. A book of stories is the direct object. A book of stories was sent to me by him. Passive. Or, I was sent a book of stories by him. Passive. Children, now we shall discuss the rules for the past continuous tense. Look at these sentences. He was eating an apple. Active. He is the subject. Eat is the first form of the verb plus ing. Apple is the object. An apple was being eaten by him. Passive. Apple is the object. Eaten is the third form of the verb. Him is the agent. They were singing a song. Active. They is the subject. Sing is the first form of the verb plus ing. A song is the object. A song was being sung by them. Passive. Song is the object. Sung is the third form of the verb. Them is the agent. They were buying storybooks. Active. They is the subject. Buy is the first form of the verb plus ing. Storybooks is the object. Storybooks were being bought by them. Passive. Storybooks is the object. Bought is the third form of the verb. Them is the agent. What did you notice in these sentences? Yes, here in the passive form we use being before the third form of the verb. Till now you must have learned that in the passive form we always use third form of the main verb in all the tenses. Now look for some negative and interrogative sentences of past continuous tense. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਵਾਕਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀ ਨੋਟ ਕੀਤਾ? ਹਾਂ, ਇੱਥੇ ਪੈਸਿਵ ਫਾਰਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਰਬ ਦੀ ਤੀਜੀ ਫਾਰਮ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਬੀਇੰਗ ਦੀ ਵਰਤੋਂ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ। ਹੁਣ ਤੱਕ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਯਕੀਨਨ ਹੀ ਇਹ ਸਿੱਖ ਗਏ ਹੋਵੋਗੇ ਕਿ ਪੈਸਿਵ ਫਾਰਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਰੇ ਟੈਂਸਸ ਲਈ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਹੀ ਮੇਨ ਵਰਬ ਦੀ ਤੀਜੀ ਫਾਰਮ ਦੀ ਵਰਤੋਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਆਓ ਹੁਣ ਪਾਸਟ ਕੰਟੀਨਿਊਸ ਟੈਂਸ ਦੇ ਕੁਝ ਨੈਗੇਟਿਵ ਅਤੇ ਇੰਟਰੋਗੇਟਿਵ ਵਾਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੇਖੀਏ। He was not writing a letter. Active. A letter was not being written by him. Passive. She was not reading the newspaper. Active. The newspaper was not being read by her. Passive. Was she reading the newspaper? Was the newspaper being read by her? Passive. Children, I hope you can easily change the voice for negative and interrogative sentences. Now, look at the rules for the change of voice for the past perfect tense. Here is an example. Past perfect tense. She had sent me a book of stories. She is the subject. Sent is the third form of the verb. Me is the indirect object. Book of stories is the direct object. Here you see two objects, so you can change the voice of this sentence in two ways. ਇਸ ਵਾਕ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੋ objects ਭਾਵ ਦੋ ਕਰਮ ਵੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ। ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਵਾਕ ਨੂੰ ਦੋ ਤਰੀਕਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਪੈਸਿਵ ਵੌਇਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਦਲ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। A book of stories had been sent to me by him. Passive. A book of stories is the direct object. Sent is the third form of the verb. Him is the agent. Or, I had been sent a book of stories by him. Passive. I is the object. Sent is the third form of the verb. Him is the agent. You have seen that in the past perfect tense, after the auxiliary had, we add been, as we use been after has in present perfect tense. For negative sentences, we use not between had and been. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ past perfect tense ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ auxiliary had ਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਅਸੀਂ been add ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ present perfect tense ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ has ਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ been ਦੀ ਵਰਤੋਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ. Here is an example. He had not written a letter. Active. A letter had not been written by him. Children, you will be happy to know that for some of the tenses, we cannot change this sentence into passive voice. ਵਿਦਿਆਰਥੀਓ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਜਾਣ ਕੇ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਹੋਏਗੀ ਕਿ ਕਈ tenses ਦੇ ਲਈ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਾਕ ਨੂੰ passive voice ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਦਲ ਸਕਦੇ. These are present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, future continuous, future perfect continuous. Now we come to the future tense. There are only two forms of the future tense that we can change into passive forms. That is future indefinite tense and future perfect tense. For future tense, following is the plan to change the active voice into passive voice. Now read this table. Active voice, passive voice. Will or shall plus first form of the verb. Will or shall plus be plus third form of the verb, future indefinite. Will or shall are changed into will be or shall be plus third form of the main verb. Will be or shall be plus first form of the verb plus ing. No passive, future continuous. There is no passive voice for future continuous. Will have or shall have plus third form of the verb. Will have or shall have plus been plus third form of the verb. Will have or shall have plus third form of the verb is changed into will have been or shall have been plus third form of the verb. Will have been plus first form of the verb plus ing. No passive. There is no passive voice for future perfect continuous tense. Now we shall take some examples of future indefinite tense. She will sing a song. Active. A song will be sung by her. Passive. He will write me a letter. Active. A letter will be written to me by him. Passive. Or, I shall be written a letter by him. Passive. So you have noticed that will or shall is changed into will be or shall be, and first form of the verb as usual is changed into third form of the verb. Now we come to future perfect tense. In this tense, will have is changed into will have been, and shall have is changed into shall have been. ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ future perfect tense ਤੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ. ਇਸ tense ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ will have will have been which ਬਦਲਦਾ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ shall have been which ਬਦਲਦਾ ਹੈ. Let us do practice. They will have counted the votes before night. Active. The votes will have been counted before night by them. Passive. Here we can ignore the agent as it is not so important. ਇੱਥੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਏਜੰਟ ਨੂੰ ਇਗਨੋਰ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਇੰਨਾ ਮਹੱਤਵਪੂਰਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ. So we shall write it like this. The votes will have been counted before night. Passive. Children, you must have read some sentences having auxiliaries or helping verbs like can, could, may, might, should, would, must, ought to, etc. They are very easy to change into passive voice. Like will or shall, we use be with all these auxiliaries in their passive form. ਬੱਚਿਓ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਹੀ ਕੁਝ ਵਾਕ ਪੜ੍ਹੇ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਜੋ ਕਿ auxiliaries ਜਾਂ helping verbs ਰੱਖਦੇ ਹਨ, ਜਿਵੇਂ can, could, may, might, should, would, must, ought to ਆਦਿ. ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ passive voice ਵਿੱਚ ਬਦਲਣਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਆਸਾਨ ਹੈ. will or shall ਦੇ ਵਾਂਗ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ auxiliaries ਦੀ passive form ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ be ਦੀ ਹੀ ਵਰਤੋਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ. Here are some examples. They should punish the guilty. Active. The guilty should be punished by them. Passive. The rich ought to help the poor. Active. The poor ought to be helped by the rich. Passive. May God bless you with health. Active. May you be blessed with health. Passive. Can you move the Himalayas? Active. Can the Himalayas be moved? Passive. How can one ignore such a serious mistake? Active. How can such a serious mistake be ignored? Passive. Children, we have discussed the change of voice in many types of tenses. But still, there are a few types of sentences which we have not talked about. One of them is imperative sentences. These sentences begin with the verb instead of a subject. These sentences show order, request, or advice. Here are some examples.
Open the door. Send the peon in. Switch off the computer. All these three sentences are in the active voice. There are many ways to change them into passive voice. Use let before the object and then add be before the third form of the main verb. Let us try this formula on these three sentences. Open the door. Active. Let the door be opened. Passive. Send the peon in. Active. Let the peon be sent in. Passive. Switch off the computer. Active. Let the computer be switched off. Passive. We can also use should be after the object and then the third form of the verb. See the examples. Open the door. Active. The door should be opened. Passive. Send the peon in. Active. The peon should be sent in. Passive. Switch off the computer. Active. The computer should be switched off. Passive.
Children, you know these sentences show order, request, or advice. So accordingly, in the passive voice, we say you are ordered or requested or advised, plus infinitive with to. Once again I repeat, you are ordered or requested or advised plus infinitive with to. Example, open the door. Active. You are ordered to open the door. Passive. Please send the peon in. Active. You are requested to send the peon in. Passive. Switch off the computer. Active. You are advised to switch off the computer. Passive. Children, you have noticed that we use the preposition by before the agent in the passive voice. But be careful. There are some verbs with which we never use by. Here are some examples. I know you. Active. You are known to me. Passive. This news alarmed us. Active. We were alarmed at this news. Passive. People lined the road on both sides. Active. The road was lined with people on both sides. Passive. This pot contains milk. Active. Milk is contained in this pot. Passive. Can you please her? Active. Can she be pleased with you? Passive. Your behavior displeased me. Active. I was displeased at your behavior. Passive. Spectators thronged the field. Active. The field was thronged with spectators. Passive. So you have seen that we have not used by in all these sentences. Similarly, when there is any preposition attached with the verb in the active voice, we cannot omit that preposition in the passive voice. Look at these sentences. Please listen to him. Active. You are requested to listen to him. Passive. Listen to does not change. He turned down my proposal. Active. My proposal was turned down by him. Passive. While changing active to passive, second form of the verb did is changed to was or were plus third form of the verb. Was or were plus first form of the verb plus ing is changed to was or were plus being plus third form of the verb. Had plus third form of the verb is changed to had plus been plus third form of the verb. Had been plus first form of the verb plus ing, no passive. Will or shall is changed to will or shall plus be plus third form of the verb. Will be plus ing, no passive. Will have or shall have plus third form of the verb is changed to will have or shall have plus been plus third form of the verb. Will have been plus first form of the verb plus ing, no passive. Modal or auxiliary plus first form of the verb is changed to modal or auxiliary plus be plus third form of the verb. To infinitive plus first form of the verb is changed to infinitive plus be plus third form of the verb. Children, I hope you have learned a lot today. So we end the episode here. Have a nice time. All the best.